Welcome back. We are having our final conversation this morning, and it's sort of a meet and greet, Isani, of ex-Belize Police Special Forces. This morning we are joined by Jean Lucas, and she is the secretary of the group, and we also have with us David Henderson and Henry Beiser. David Henderson is the vice president, and Henry Beiser is the president. Guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning.
Now, this will be sort of an educational segment for me. I know Isani recognized some of your faces. We have here with us a past compol, a past fire chief, Miss Jean.
Past BDF officer.
Past BDF officer. Guys, thank you so much for your service in being law enforcement officers as well. I look forward to learning a bit about your journeys back then and, of course, what you are up to now. So perhaps we can begin with a conversation with the past compol. Let's talk about your role and perhaps how many years ago were you in that role?
I have retired now, 11 years now, since I have retired from the police department. I think it was a nice journey because then you had a lot of exposure, you meet a lot of people, you learn a lot of different things. And out here I could say that I have no problem being out here because then I think I used to treat people with respect and everybody treat me likewise. I have pretty good relation out here.
Mm-hmm. Let's step back a bit and talk about the police special forces and how that came to be and how the three of you at some point enlisted in the PSF.
Well, the police special force started back in 1968. It lasted just for about 9 years, 3 months. What used to happen, we used to have our police training and military training. During that time, we were trained strictly by British forces. Mm-hmm. And in fact, everybody that excelled within the PSF as NCO, they usually go overseas to do training prior to.
Wow. So we also have here with us David Henderson, and you are, Henry Beiser, and you are also a part of the Police Special Forces. I want to talk about your introduction to this back then and your interest in being a part of it.
Okay. The Police Special Forces started in October of 1968. I was one of the first. I was in the first intake. Mm-hmm. Over that 9-year period, there were 10 intakes, mm-hmm. and most of it was around 30 plus. So mm-hmm. over the 9-year period, we have like 300 and something people that went through this thing. But because we are police, we are a branch of the police force. We did our 6 months police training, and then we did our 3 months military training mm-hmm. with the British Army. They were instructors as we do all our training there and whatnot.
Okay.
So that's how it actually happened. What happened is that in 1968 there were a lot of militant young groups in Belize City doing all sorts of things around the place and whatnot. And the government decided that they needed a group to do this job. At the time there was only the volunteer guards, mm-hmm. but they were part-time soldiers. Yeah. And so they also wanted a group to do border patrols, to stop incursion into our country and all that. So that was our main role, mm-hmm. to assist the police in police work and to assist in the military work. So that's how it all started.
So, Ms. Jean, I assume you went from PSF to BVG, then to BDF. What was your course?
No, okay. I am an honorary member.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
the reason for this is that the police force is the forerunner for the BDF, mm-hmm. and I was in the BDF. I was with Mr. Baiza and other members that went into the military. So when they formed this organization, they asked me to help. So I'm here for support. I was
Gotcha.
not a member, but I had a brother who was in intake 3. All right, and I remember days when he would talk about it, and I found it very interesting, and I admired them a lot. So I'm quite willing to help.
I had the opportunity of working on a documentary fairly recently on the Belize volunteer guards. But what I found interesting was how the PSF and the BVG came together to form the BDF.
Right.
What was that experience like for you guys who, in your case, Mr. Beiser, you branched off to become a fire chief, and in Mr. Henderson's case, he went full on into the police department.
See, when the Special Force got disbanded, we had two options. We had to stay within the regular force, or we go into the army. I opted to go into the army. And I did 15 years in the army. And I retired at Major, and then I went into the fire service for another 15 years.
Nice.
So I gave like 40 years to my country,
Wow.
40 years service.
Wow. And yourself?
Well, fortunate for me, I started as a Belize volunteer guard. I did about 2 years with them. Then I went on to join the police special force, where I did, you would say, almost another 2 years with the special force. Then I went over to the police department, where I did the remainder of my term. I did, 41 years in the government service.
Wow.
Wow. So the organization that now exists, what do we seek to achieve with having these members that are PASA, police special forces?
Okay, there's two main reasons. Because we were a very close-knit organization, and we want to continue come together, what we call the beat, and we come together to socialize, to have fun with each other. And then the second point of it is to assist those who need assistance. So those are the two main functions of having this group established.
How many members are a part of the group right now, and what all areas are they coming from?
We have, out of the 300 plus, we still have like 130, about 130 still alive. About in the upper 90s and so are still in Belize, and the others are in the United States of America. And so we shot a beat as often as possible. And like I said, some of our members are pretty old. Some of them, well, none of us are young, because the youngest should be about 60 something, and the oldest about 80 something.
Wow.
And so virtually it's another age group, and some of them need assistance. And assistance like pick them up, take them to the doctor to do their checkup, or pick them up and take them up for a meal, or these sort of things, just to encourage them, just to be there with them, to help them through whatever they are going through.
I noticed that perhaps it wasn't until about a year or two ago that the surviving members of the PSF were actually recognized by the police department and perhaps by the government. I saw some pictures earlier. I saw my good friend Big Norms was there receiving his.
Yeah, he was a member, yeah.
Talk to us about the camaraderie of the police special forces and how that endures to today. You mentioned earlier being there for each other in terms of helping people to go to the doctor and what have you. What is that sense of brotherhood like?
Go ahead then.
Well, I think over the period that we served, we were a very close-knitted group. And again, too, we did some extremely rough training. And during those periods, you had to really support each other. And even after we separate and go our different paths, some went to the army, some went to police, we still maintain that relation, because after all those years at training and closely working together, the friendship and the brotherhood remain.
Yes.
You see, we live together, most of us.
Yeah.
for most of those years. We live at Price Barracks, and we see each other every day. We together every day, and so that camaraderie continue and stay with us. And it was about 3 or 4 years ago that we started to start this thing and to see how best we can come together and continue this thing, because most of us are getting up there in age and whatnot, and so virtually we had this meet and greet will be our fourth.
Okay.
We had one in 2022, we had one in 2023, we had one this year already in January, and now we're having one this Saturday.
Oh. I want to comment from the perspective of a younger generation, Belizean, perhaps not recognizing the impact that you all would have made prior to, well, I represent a generation who would have known nothing about the special forces. So I'll tell you that off the back. And I imagine that there are other viewers who might have the same sentiment as well. How would you like for generations like myself and younger to recognize the work that was done way back then in the 60s in terms of the service that was given to Belize in law enforcement?
Okay, what happened is that our role was in support, well, we were police officers. So virtually, the things that used to happen in those days was a lot of riots used to happen. And it was very disastrous. I mean, sometimes all the shops on Alabama Street are broken in, and you have to go out there. They set fire on the bridge, and you have to go in there and clear it, and all these sort of things and whatnot. So those were the activities that were going on especially in Belize City in those days.
Yeah.
So we had to be very professional. We had our training, and so we had to go out there and calm the people as much as possible.
How would you diffuse a situation like that?
Well, first of all, you go and you try to talk to them. Try to find out who is the leader, and try to get him outside and talk to him and explain to him that this is not right. What you're doing, you're breaking the law. And so virtually, I'm giving you an opportunity to stop, but if you don't stop, we'll have to, because this cannot continue. So those are the activities that were going on at that time.
Yes.
And there was also a lot of kidnapping, and these sort of things was going on, and the political scene were it wasn't that nice. I mean, we had to be traveling from Punta Gorda one night to Ridgewack one night to somewhere else one night, and so we have to be at these events. We are in the background. Nobody saw us, but we were always in the background. But if in case something happened, we are there.
Was it?
Just to add,
Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe just to add, during those days we had a lot of threat from Guatemala, and we used to have to respond along with British forces on the border. So, you know, our role was dual, both police and military.
Was it due primarily to the political climate of the time that you would have all of these, I'll describe them as uprisings?
It was some were political, others were, at that time, a lot of young Belizeans were being sent from America.
Okay.
And they developed America ideology, and they come and try to bring that here in Belize. And so there was always a conflict.
And then the role for you guys would be to try to diffuse that and ensure that there was peace as well. Now, I want to get Ms. Jean in the conversation because she did mention that she is an honorary member, but you can still speak about your experience in the Belize Defense Force during your time. What was that like?
For me, it was very challenging first because I'm a female. I was among the first set of the females that joined the Belize Defense Force, intake 6. So we were the ones that, like I would say, like had a rough time because some people didn't accept us. And we gradually we were able to gain their respect by our performance. And so now the girls that are in the Belize Defense Force, I can say they benefit from what we went through, because they have a lot now that they can do that we couldn't do when I first joined. But I don't regret it. I am very happy that I was able to go through that. And so when he's talking about that closeness that you feel with one another, that's how I feel too, with Henry and, well, not with Mr. Henderson because he was a police, but with Glenn who was not able to come today. And so, and some of the other members that were in the BDF, you know, we still have that closeness because we went through things together. And so I can understand that.
Yes. So this this grouping is important to keep that connection and that bonding in place.
Yes.
How can the public support this group? I know that you mentioned that there are some persons who need assistance now that they're aging, taking them to their doctor appointments, but you also have your general meetings, I'll call it such. You said you're about to have your fourth one.
Yes.
From a viewer's perspective, can we support in any way?
Yes, because we plan to do fundraising, you know, we need money. That's the bottom line. And so when we do our fundraising, we want to ask the community to support us. So if we do a barbecue or whatever we're doing, a dance, then we ask that you support us so that we can raise that funds that we need, you know. And so that's it. That's what the community can do. Let us feel appreciated and support us 100%.
Because we are a non-profit organization, we could also solicit funds from the general public. Just send them a letter and explain to them what we are doing and whatnot, and ask them to assist us in venture as we go forward.
Talk to us a bit about the meet and greets. What kind of activities do you guys engage in other than catching up with each other for old time's sake?
Well, with the meet and greet, we usually outline our plans. We have a lot of food together. We have meal together, and we have a bit of socializing together.
It's partially a sort of official part of it and a fun part of it. Like for example, this one we normally we start at 10 o'clock. What we do. We get a location. The first one was done at the Queen Street Police Station. The second one was done at Price Barracks. The third one, we had it in Hopkins. And this fourth one, again, we have it in Price Barracks. What we do, we ask everybody to come, especially people from the districts and whatnot. And we have a bus that will pick up people at Pongyard to take them to wherever the location is. And so, and that first hour from 10 to 11 is when people come in. We have something for them, a snack for them to eat, because some of them travel from far to get here because they come from Hopkins and all these places and whatnot. San Ignacio and those places. And so, and we just chat, meet each other for that first hour. And then at 11 o'clock we have our official, because sometimes we do give out medals and awards to some of our people. And then we sometimes have an official a guest speaker that come in and talk to us. Sometimes we have asked people from the police force to come in and talk to us. We have asked people from the BDF to come in and talk to us. And so, and once that is finished, then we have a meal together. And when that meal is finished, then it's all break loose, right? You have your fun, you play checker, you play dominoes, you play, and you just, you know what I mean, just enjoy ourselves together. We finish around 3 o'clock and everybody go home.
Let me throw somewhat of a wild card question to you, gentlemen. So when I spoke with former members of the BVG a few weeks ago, and they were reminiscing about what they learned and some of the values that were instilled amongst them then versus now, their main one was discipline. What's your take?
Yeah, discipline is the biggest part you get within the organization, because one, you have to be transformed from a civilian to a disciplined military or paramilitary officer. So discipline is the key.
Have you seen that changing considerably between then and now?
Yes, definitely.
In what ways?
Well, people used to be, members used to be more upright, more disciplined. Even the dress, everything used to have to be sharp. In fact, I remember in the days of PSF, you cross the swamp and you go to training Friday, up to maybe Friday night, and you have to spend the rest of the night iron to dry your boots and ensure that you're properly clean, or otherwise you are being punished Saturday morning. So you have to have really a good discipline to really endure and to get that done.
Yes. Miss Jean, I heard you laughing. It sounds like you are in agreement.
I am fully in agreement, yes. And I think also, and some people might not like this, but I think that the quality of the people themselves are in a big question, mainly because of political connections and so on. Back then, we didn't have that. And so we were more disciplined, and so we were a better force. But now with all these, what I will call intrusions, then the discipline has just gone down. Yes.
Let's get your take, Mr. Baisa.
Okay, discipline is key, especially as a paramilitary or a military individual, because sometimes your life depends on it. If you tell somebody to do something and they will ask why, that person don't belong there. You have to be disciplined, because we need to have each other backs.
Yeah.
Regardless of how we feel about it, we need to protect each other. We need to do things that will make sure that our unit is safe and everything like that. I mean, you go out in the jungle, and it's your turn to watch, to make sure that there's no incursion.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't fall asleep. It's your turn to watch. It's your turn to take care of everybody else. And that's how you build that commitment towards each other. And the other thing is, and because you are disciplined, you follow the rules in dress, especially. I see people walking around in half a uniform. They don't have on a hat. You know what it is? You must be, if you want to wear the uniform, you have to wear the full uniform, and it has to be nice and clean, and the shoes need to be shine. And
Gone are those days, right?
Yeah, gone.
Well, as we wrap up this segment, we want to say thank you guys so much for joining us this morning. I'll give you a final opportunity to share your last words with the viewers. Ms. Jean, let's get you in.
Yes, I want to mention that this meet and greet that we're having on Saturday is an opportunity again for us to get together. So we want the people who are listening to pass it on to their members or friends that they know that were once a part of this organization, and encourage them to attend. A bus will be leaving from Pong Yard at 9 o'clock for those living in Belize City, and at 9:30 for those coming from out district like Dangriga and Hopkins. So that's my final word.
Yourself?
I just want to say thanks to Love FM for having us this morning, so that we could...
Slight correction, Channel 5.
Sorry, Channel 5, sorry. Thank you, Channel 5, for having us this morning, so that we could inform our members of what is going on. It's a real joy to be with our members of our unit, and I just want to say to them to come out and let us have a good time together on Saturday.
Wonderful. Final thoughts?
Well, I want to say that we are grateful for the opportunity to be here, and looking forward to meet some of our old colleagues. And I ask that whoever hear the information, just pass it on, that we all could meet and have fun.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you too.
All right, we are going to take our final break now, and when we come back, we wrap things up.